All right. So, Daniel, I'm going to watch you drink the reishi tincture first.
Yeah, so what we've done is we've let that reishi that we boiled the alcohol off, we've let it cool down, and then let's try it. Yeah, that's excellent. Much less alcohol, and what we got is the flavor of the reishi mushroom now.
Let's see. Take a little drink of this. Wow, that's incredible. That's incredible. And how long did it take you to make that? About 5 minutes and 2 weeks of time?
Yeah, about 5 minutes. And of course, we could have done that whole batch. We could burn off the whole batch of that alcohol at once if we wanted to. And you could take it at intervals throughout a day or maybe a week. When I use an herb, what I like to do is choose a period of time and choose an herb that I know I need at that time. So say that you were really focused on, say, bolstering your immune system. You could take your reishi, cook off that alcohol like that, put it in the fridge, and take it as intervals. Just like if you were taking a prescribed pharmaceutical medicine, the way you do that is say that you look at the bottle and it says take 1 tablet 3 times a day. Use the same kind of logic when you're taking your herbs, so that you take it throughout the day. That keeps it in your bloodstream, because any herb that you take, eventually you clear out through your urine or your feces, your liver detoxifies it. So what you want to do is keep introducing it into the body, and say do that for about a week, and that's how you really maximize the effect of an herb like that.
And instead of spending $90 on a bottle of, herbs, or bottle of drugs from a drug company, you're going to spend maybe $2.
Yeah, or instead of spending, $90 on expensive herbal products that are really watered down from a health food store, you can do it yourself at a fraction of the cost and at double or triple the potency.
And if you factor in the time it takes to actually go to the store and buy these things, you could do it so much faster, ordering them online, getting them, and then one afternoon you spend maybe an hour or two, and you can have enough stuff for a whole month.
Exactly, and if you keep on top of it, you have new stuff coming up all the time. So in a way, we're talking about slow food in the sense that, yeah, there was a 2-week period of brewing, but actually, when you really think about it, all we're doing is packing it into a bottle and setting it aside, and it makes itself for you.
And it really builds our connection with the nutrients as well, rather than just buying into a store. You go to a store and buy it, and then just ingesting it, not really knowing what you're doing or how it was made. Right. You're doing it all yourself, and it's so powerful.
Part of the potency is you building a psychological connection to the medicine you're taking, because we now know in science that a huge part of what makes something effective is the placebo effect, is you believing in the power of the medicine. And so by working with the medicine with your hands, by creating it yourself, and by knowing what it is and who made it and how it was made, it becomes far more powerful psychologically and physically.
And it's just a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it's a lot of fun.
Okay, now we're going to make a very powerful liver cleanser.
Yeah, so this is a drink I've been working with. It's mid-January right now, so I've been indoors quite a bit. Here in Maine, it's real cold. Being indoors means that obviously toxins are building up in our bodies because we're not getting outside as much, getting as much exercise, breathing as much fresh air. The liver has over 600 known functions in the body. I'm sure that it has a lot more that we don't know about yet, but we know about at least 600 functions. The liver needs to be detoxified pretty regularly. Now there's liver flushes, which you can learn about if you Googled liver flushes. You can learn about techniques for doing really fast, massive flushes of the liver that clean out everything that's accumulated in it. But another strategy is to keep on top of keeping the liver cleaned out by regularly introducing things that clear bile from the liver, or cause the liver to produce bile and push it into the small intestine. Now the reason the liver produces bile is because oil and water don't mix. And when you're eating fats, the body can't really introduce them into the watery matrix of the blood. So what it needs is an emulsifier, or something that causes oil to mince with water. What it produces is bile, which is cholesterol and bile salts. Cholesterol, we've heard a lot of negative things about cholesterol, but without cholesterol, none of us could survive. Cholesterol is the base molecule of our bile. And what it does is causes fat and oil to come together. So when you eat a fat, the liver has to produce bile, dump it into the small intestine, so that watery substance, the chyme inside the small intestine, can mix well with the fats. We're going to use, these are some herbs I got from mountainroseherbs.com. This is dandelion root. Now it's winter here, and I don't have any dandelions growing outside, but if this was summertime, springtime, or fall time, dandelions are always available, probably everywhere in the United States. And you can go right outside, dig up dandelions from your yard, as long as you know there's not any pesticides or herbicides sprayed on your lawn. You can dig it right up and take those roots and use them fresh. But this is dry dandelion root here. This is yellow dock, which is another herb that grows in most of the United States. Now that word dock means herb. So you'll hear a burdock, which means the herb that has burrs on it. Burdock is those little things that stick to your shirt when you're walking through a field. Yellow dock is a yellow-colored herb, and I don't know if you can see that, Len, but it's kind of got a yellow color to it. Mm-hmm. That's in Doctrine of Signatures, what that tells us, that yellow color indicates that it's going to be a bile producer. You know, the bile has a yellow-greenish color to it, and a yellow dock tells us that it's going to do that. Now, this is a real bitter herb. Most of the bitter, in herbalism we talk about the bitter principle of an herb. The bitter principle means that there's some bitter substance in there that usually causes bile production. Now dandelion's a little bit bitter, but when you make it, it almost has kind of the texture of a potato when you boil it. And the liquid that comes out of it is thick, and it's full of a carbohydrate called inulin, which helps to feed your intestinal bacteria. And it tastes pretty good, even though it's slightly bitter. The yellow dock's real bitter, so we didn't add too much of that. I would say we're about 10 parts dandelion root, 1 part burdock. We put that in the teapot, and I've been just incubating this just under a boil, not quite boiling, for the last hour or so. We're going to use that as the base for our drink here.